Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. It was raining today all night, so I'm gonna do this video inside this time, and it's gonna be about my birth in Chile. And this is a story time, so if you're not up to this kind of videos, then feel free to wait till the next one. I have two daughters and they both were born in Chile. One is 6 years old now, the other one is almost 3. And the birth itself was pretty different for both of them. So the first daughter, unfortunately, it wasn't such a good experience, while the second one was like going on vacation. So let me tell you everything step by step. So when I was pregnant with my first daughter, I found out about it while I was still living in Russia, and I spent about 7 months of my pregnancy in Russia. And then I moved to Chile. So, for example, the doctor that was looking after me in Russia, she told me that I was gaining a lot of weight. So I need to basically like cut sugar and bad food and all this stuff. She was absolutely right. I mean, I gained about like 20 kilos during that pregnancy, which was way too much. And when I moved to Chile, they said actually, your weight is so small for your height and being pregnant, you actually need to eat more. So two completely different approaches, because both doctors, they knew the weight that I began my journey with. And in Chile, it seemed like a little bit of weight gain. And in Russia, it's like, oh my God, you need to like control yourself, you know? Honestly, with this one, I completely agree with the Russian doctor that I had. The next thing you know is that when you're pregnant, they give you the approximate date when your baby is going to be born, and that's the keyword here. That this date is completely approximate. This is not like a date when the baby should go out. Like, this is more or less, right? So when I was already in Chile, it was my due date and nothing happened. I went to the doctor the next day and he told me, well, your due date was yesterday, so we're gonna have to make a C-section. And I'm like, what? It's literally one day after my due date and he wants to make a C-section. And he said, yeah, we should do it before Friday because then I go on vacation and cannot do it. I'm like, dude, are you literally making me go through the very difficult operation, very invasive operation, and just because you're going on vacation? Really? So, yes, of course, I said, what the hell? No, I'm not doing the C-section. I went completely angry, walking all the way home, and it was like 5 maybe kilometers, and I was angry. I was calling my mom on the phone in Russian. I was like, can you imagine what they said? And blah, 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 was very, very upset, very disturbed with what he said. And what would you think? The next day after that, my baby was born. No C-section. And yes, in general, in Chile, this is so weird that the practice of having C-section is very popular. It's like, oh, I want my baby to be born on this specific date, so I'm gonna go and make a C-section and plan it for this date. Or like, I don't want it to be some date, which is my due date, so I'm gonna plan it a little bit before. This is a very different approach, and honestly, I don't really understand it, because C-section is a very difficult, very invasive, dangerous operation. It's not like a simple procedure. It's literally you're being operated. Your recovery after that is completely different than recovery after giving birth, how they say naturally, but it's completely different. You need to recover from an invasive operation while taking care of your newborn. That's super hard. That is like all the other levels of hard. And they trade it like such an easy coin. It's like, oh, now let's go for the C-section. Like, no, it's not that simple. It's not that like easy. It's an operation. So obviously, right after that visit, I decided to go to another doctor, and I found another doctor. And while I was waiting for my appointment, I started having very hard contractions. And when we came to the doctor, he put me on the chair and my water broke. So I had to give birth right there and then. I mean, not in the chair, but with that doctor in that hospital. And at that moment, I didn't speak very well Spanish. And there was like one person who spoke English well, and she was the anesthesiologist. And they didn't explain me anything what was going on. They looked at me and then they hurried and they were like all running around. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, is something wrong with me, with the baby, with the procedure? I don't know what's going on. So they did not explain anything. They tried to put me the epidural, the anesthesia that you have, like this ginormous needle in your back. And she couldn't do it quite a few times. So when she finally did it, it did not help at all. Like, I mean, I still felt everything, all the pain and stuff, and how I was cut and stitched and everything. And yeah, that was a pretty traumatic experience, especially because when it was time to push in, I was like, can one person just tell me when to push? And if you're gonna say it in Spanish, I will understand it anyway. But then there were like 3 different people telling me in 3 different times in 2 different languages that I need to push. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, should I or should I not? Who do I listen to? You know, was very chaotic, was very stressful situation. Thank God everything was well with the baby. So, you know, for real, thank God, because like it was not an ideal situation. And after that, after giving birth, I had like a really bad recovery. There were like some problems because I had to ask several times in the hospital, while in the hospital, for help with giving milk, you know, for feeding my baby. And they did not provide the assistance I required. So yeah, was not a very good experience. And at least like the good thing from that is that the doctor was really professional, was really calm, really cool. And yeah, I really appreciated how he just like, you know, took a patient from the street, you can say. Like, I literally came just for my first appointment and I gave birth. So poor doctor. But he really stepped up and he made it happen. And like I said, thank God everything turned out well, and especially thanks to the doctor. But after that, because of the anesthesia that I had a lot of back pain, and you know, that was not good. Like, I literally was lying down on bed with a lot of pain in my spine. That is not normal, by the way. So yeah, going to the second baby. So I already knew the doctor that I wanted, right? It was not just like some doctor recommended by my husband's mom that turned out to be, well, not good. It was the experienced doctor that already helped me in the emergency. So obviously when I found out that I'm gonna have a baby, I went to him, and he was our monitoring doctor, and everything was pretty well. Normal pregnancy, all the stuff. The only thing is that when I went to the scan, one of the scans that was already, I think, like 30 something weeks pregnant, and I went to the scan, and the lady who's operating the machine, she's like, that's not normal, you know. That's completely not normal. And she's like looking at the baby inside me, and she's like, yeah, no, I'm not saying you need to abort, but yeah. Honestly, went outside with tears. She did not give me a good explanation. She just basically said that there's something wrong and I might need to abort my baby at 30 something weeks. Like, what? Obviously, I asked for the second opinion, and everything was perfectly fine. And that lady was completely incompetent, but did she ruin it for me? And did I have to pay for additional exams because I was freaked out? Yes. So make sure you know who all the professionals are before you go on the journey of pregnancy. I guess it can happen in any country. Like, I only have experience giving birth in Chile. That's why I'm talking about it. So yeah, when I felt the contractions, I called my matrona. Matrona is basically a nurse, like a main nurse who is helping you out. She's contacting the doctor. She's meeting you at the hospital. She's like your contact person. And if you have some questions during the pregnancy or even a little bit after the birth of your baby, you can call her, write her. She will be there to help you. And yeah, so it was in the night. I contacted my matrona and she called my doctor, and everything was so smooth. Like, this time, the epidural that I got, you guys, I felt like I was on vacation and not giving birth to the baby. Like, immediately after giving birth, I was like, oh, that's it. Oh, wonderful. This is my baby. Okay. Like, so chill. And then when the nurse came and said, oh, it's time for you to stand up, I like, oh, okay. And I stood up like nothing. So literally the best team, the best doctor, and epidural was amazing. Felt like, I don't know, like a rest, honestly. Especially because it was like early in the morning, like my baby was born at 5 a.m. So yeah, it felt super nicely. And no back pain after giving birth, not like the last anesthesia that I had. So yeah, these are completely two different experiences. I honestly don't know how to make it good the first time, so maybe just try to get as much information as possible, get all recommendations for the doctors, for the ultrasound specialists, for people who are taking your labs, like literally for every single specialist, for a dietitian, because yes, I also had a dietitian involved at some moment when she helped me to control the weight that I was gaining. So yeah, like literally get every single name, every single contact that you can, and use only the people that you trust. And if you feel that something is wrong, just go away, because honestly, you're paying so much money for all of these exams, for every single doctor visit. You deserve to get the best, especially at that moment, when you're about to have your child. So these are my birth stories. What I found out from it is that, first of all, when I came to Chile, I wanted to have like at least 3 or 4 babies, because come on, babies are adorable and it's nice to have a big family. But then, after I paid for all the hospital bills, I decided that I'm gonna stop at 2, because it is very, very expensive to have babies in Chile. And I'm gonna say it again and again and again, that Chilean government is making something very wrong, because it should be easy and cheap to have a child if you want your country to continue growing, to continue being young. Because right now, people in Chile, they decide against having children. Like medicine, right, is either very expensive or not very good, or both. And then you have to pay for everything, starting from the kindergarten. You pay a lot of money. So no wonder that not a lot of people can afford having babies. And this is one of the things that is super good in Russia, by the way, because in Russia you get support money for the first child, even more for the second, and even more for the third. And it's support money. It goes for your house. Maybe you need to pay a credit on the house that you have, or it is going on some baby products like diapers, bottles, clothes, and all this stuff. It's cheaper, yes, and we do have an affordable medicine. I'm not saying that it's good, but I'm saying it's affordable. And the thing is that, for example, here, if I have 3 kids, I have to pay for 3 kids at school, for 3 kids at the transport, for 3, like everything multiplied by 3. But in Russia, if you have 3 kids, you get free visits to museum, free transportation, free lunches at school, So these are like 2 very different policies that the countries have. Like Chile, I don't know, like Chile's not gonna have a lot of babies. I'm sorry, but it's true, because like it's very pricey to have a child here, especially if you're working in Chile, so you have like Chilean salaries and not some USA salaries, or European salaries. So it's very pricey. And later, to maintain a good life, having a lot of children. So obviously the birth rate is going to decline. And in Russia, it's all being supported. Of course, I'm not going to argue like Russia has a lot of other issues, problems, etc. But I'm talking about giving birth now and babies and etc. So, but Russia is supporting the families to have kids. And the more kids, the better. So yeah, make your own conclusions. This is my story. Again, like I already said, like for me it was super pricey. Let me just tell you that, like with all the doctors with giving birth after the insurance, because yes, we do have insurance. So after counting it all out from the insurance, I had to pay about like 10 million pesos. And it's a lot. It's a lot, especially later you need to go visit like the doctor once in a while with your newborn, and then like all the vaccines and stuff, which by the way mostly free here in Chile, so at least that. So yeah, this is my story. If you still have some questions, feel free to ask. Maybe I missed some points that are important for you, so write me here on Instagram and I will try to answer. If I don't answer you on Instagram in DMs, that's because I just don't see them, like they're blocked for some reason. So write me a comment under any post. I will go to my DMs and check it. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.